Mark Gasol from Memphis. He's going to be a free agent. This guy's less of a sissy than Powell.
They won't be able to afford him. They're not going to be able to afford anyone. And the truth of the matter is that they have a Mike Miller who has a pretty good contract, and Joel Anthony for 3 years and all this money. I think that Pat Riley, as much as I respect him as a coach, and I think he is a good executive, he made a real mistake with the bench players he picked outside of Udonis Haslem. And I think they're not going to get Marc Gasol. Marc Gasol's most likely, he grew up in Memphis, so that's out of the question. He's already a free agent restricted, but I think they're not going to be able to get much. Hopefully maybe they get Tyson Chandler.
Well, I doubt that one because Dallas is going to re-sign, but I'm telling you, man, it's going to be really hard to enforce a hard cap. I don't see that going over with the players. I just don't at this point in time because that's going to screw over a team like the Lakers that just dish out money like the freaking Yankees. So I think that's going to affect too many major market teams for the league to go through with that at this point in time at least. And also, you can get a coach for cheap, okay? You can get a better coach than Eric Spoelstra just about anywhere. I could go down to Skid Row, pick up a few people, read them a few books, and they'd be a better coach. Well, you know what I'm saying. My
I totally agree with you there.
There is some moves that they can make that can be beneficial. I agree with you about some guys being overpaid, but basically, man, any major market team, any contender has guys that are going to be overpaid on their roster. The Lakers have guys that are overpaid. So if it's going to affect the Miami Heat, it's going to affect other teams that are dishing out millions and millions and millions of even extra money like the Lakers or like the Knicks. It's going to hurt the Knicks too. The Knicks traded half their squad, okay? Miami Heat, it's going to hurt them some too if that goes through. Going to hurt the Lakers. So, we'll just have to see what happens. You bring up a good point, but, at this point in time, we just can't say for sure.
Agreed. I think I agree with you as far as the coaching situation. I think the bald guy, the melon head on the bench right next to Eric Spoelstra will probably do a better job. But I'm just saying that the way the Heat run, and especially with two players on the court that demand the ball, I believe they're in trouble. And nobody's really mentioning it, that if they do re-sign Tyson Chandler, Dallas could easily be a dynasty before our eyes. You never know. That's perfectly plausible.
Hey, Marty, talk to me, bro. Your phone's fading, Marty, so I couldn't make out what you said there. You got to stay in front of the phone because it was fading out.
Oh, I'm sorry. That Dallas could be a dynasty before our eyes if they re-sign Tyson Chandler. They really could. With the Lakers falling off, with the bad coach now, they could be a dynasty and really disrupt the Heat's chances of getting 6 or 7 or 8.
Well, first off, they're not going to get 6, 7, or 8, but I know what you're getting at there. But with Dallas, man, the thing is, they could dominate the West. I could see them doing well, but the East right now, to me, you have teams that are going to have the opportunity to really put together great squads. You got a couple teams in the East that I think Dallas would have a tough time. And also, you got to point out too. I don't want to take away from what Dallas did, but they did catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle too. I mean, these guys were playing absolutely lights out. It's the first playoff series that they've played like this, really. And they have some of the same guys that they failed with before. So, we'll just have to see, man. I think Dallas has a good shot in the West because the West is going down a little bit with the Lakers and Potato Head, and the Thunder are on the up and coming. We'll see what they do. But, man, I really think the East is going to start dominating before we know it.
Yeah, but, Marty, also look at the fact that the Heat let 2 obvious games, slip right through their grasp at the end. So if those games go a different direction and the Heat actually play, smart basketball, we're not having this conversation. So, yeah, Dallas took the series, but the Heat also gave it up too, like a cheap fork.
Agreed. They did arguably outplay most of the minutes in the first 4 games, but also to get with Joseph's point about Dallas, while they did catch lightning in a bottle, they were also very heavily injured this year. So
you're fading again, brother.
They also were very heavily injured this year. So while they did catch lightning in a bottle, when their roster is full and healthy, they're going to have even more depth than they had this series. I don't want this to happen. I want LeBron to finally get his ring, but I just think Dallas is really good right now.
But, Marty, you saw with Memphis, okay, when Rudy Gay went out, they became a better team. Now, when Caron Butler went down, the Mavs had they were more fluid in their team offense because at times he can be a ball stopper. So who's to say, and, Brendan Haywood's just coming off the bench. So who's to say that with Caron Butler back that the team has the same dynamic as a unit,
With Brian Cardinal, they can't be stopped. That's a joke.
Yeah.
The custodian.
You mean Mr. Flopper?
You need a new Popeye Jones.
Hey, he's the new Brian Scalabrine.
Yeah, he really is.
He does look like him, and he does the same things on the court. He flops and shoots 3-ball and plays no defense.
I won't say that.
And don't sleep on Chicago. They're one shooting guard away from making it to the finals past the Heat. They're one OJ
can I say something
away.
real quick? They gotta be really choosy with that though, because you don't want to you want to have a good overall shooting guard, not someone like J.R. Smith who's just a shot jacker.
Well, hey, there's no question Chicago's going to be in the mix. There's no question about it. I think they're going to get better. I expect Derrick Rose basketball IQ to improve as well. I think they have a very good coach who, in his first season, did a very good job. So Chicago's going to be right up there too. That was one of the closer 5-game series that you'll see played, even though it was just 5 games. That's what I'm saying, man. The East is putting together some absolute beast squads.
Agreed, and I want to say this. It might be a little controversial, but Derrick Rose, while I hate the term the killer instinct, because only soldiers have killer instinct, our American soldier. But the fact that Derrick Rose wants to be the man in Chicago, something LeBron obviously didn't really care so much about going to Miami, I think that youthful arrogance can make Chicago a championship team with one more piece, and especially with that defense and a really capable coach.
Atlanta's one piece away, man.
Yeah, they've been one piece away since I was born.
One piece away for 4 years.
I think Atlanta's just a waste, honestly.
Hey, man, they just got to get.
You got to look at the Pacers, man. With that beast Jeff Foster leading the way, they're certainly.
Man,
I'll tell you the one thing about. Hold on. Here's the one thing about Derrick Rose, because the caller Marty just touched on that. The one thing about Derrick Rose that I think is going to hurt him throughout his career, I know this sounds weird, but is his height. I know that sounds crazy, but I don't know if he has all the physical attributes to be the type of dominant player that he wants to be. I mean,
point guards aren't meant to be tall, though.
I don't know about that.
I know they're not meant to be tall.
Chris Paul 6'1" and he's dominant.
I'm just saying. I'm just calling that out. I'm not trying to
But someone brought up Chris Paul. Chris Paul, great player, but I mean, the guy hasn't won a championship yet. So I'm just saying that for Derrick Rose to try to be the man, I think it's going to be difficult for him. I do. I think now. Don't get me wrong. I can see them getting to the final.
I understand what you're saying.
And also, I still think his jump shot is whack. Okay, he had points in time where it was good, but if you guys notice, he releases that ball at the very, he releases it, kind of pushing it half the time. I don't know yet, man. And we saw what happened when he goes against a really good defender who's taller than him.
As much as he shot so many threes this year,
that was LeBron James. So
I think Derrick Rose will be fine, guys. I mean, if you take a look at his game, he had improvement from the year before. It's just the point of raising his IQ level and making him more of a playmaker. Putting in some CP3 in him would really work for him. But I see Joseph's point. The real dominant players have some height to them, so it makes sense. But in this era,
to be honest, Derrick Rose is going to have to go out next year and average about 30 points and 10 assists to live up to the hype he got this year. So I'm not saying he can't, but I'm not going to, guys, he's only played as well as he did for 1 year. I mean, we usually crown guys because they're consistent. This was one season, and let's not forget it, guys. He got the ultimate free pass against Miami because he was terrible. I mean, he was terrible in that series.
Well, then, if you're going to give him the ultimate, if you're going to give him the ultimate criticism for being terrible against Miami, you got to give LeBron James the ultimate flag for the way he performed against San Antonio, for the way he performed against San Antonio when his team.
Whoa! You cannot compare the Cleveland Cavs of 2007 to the Bulls of this year. Please.
Why not? Why not?
No, I'm absolutely.
Why not? Are you kidding me, Brian?
Are you kidding me?
No.
Drew Gooden, Daniel Gibson, Ilgauskas starting.
No, I'm not saying that individual teams. I mean, Ira Newble was in the starting lineup. We're talking about individual play. We're talking about individual play with non-scorers around.
Was that an Aaron Newble reference? I heard. Oh my God!
I mean, Sasha Pavlovich to me was really a GOAT type material, you know.
Hey man, Hey man, but
let me address Marty here because look, bro, I'm not giving LeBron the ultimate free pass for this year. I basically have ripped him a whole lot this series.
We ripped him a new one after Game 5.
Now, for 2007 against the Spurs,
not Game 5, Game 4.
I think the fact that he got the Cleveland Cavs to the finals that year was a freaking miracle in itself. So that was a total different animal and different situation than Derrick Rose this year because it's not like Derrick Rose went out there and he didn't get any help from anybody. That's how it's so funny because after Game 1, everyone was like, "Oh, the Chicago Bulls just have a better roster," and then by Game 3 or 4, everyone was like, "Oh, it's Derrick Rose or nobody." Guys, Derrick Rose was jacking up a ton of shots, so you can't blame other guys.
Completely agree, but you also, while I'm saying the 2007 Cleveland Cavaliers was the worst finals team, if not ever, probably ever. I agree with you. That's what the Ira Newble thing was to say how bad he was, that he was in the starting lineup. But the fact that I think that you are a little hard on Derrick Rose, while he does get unfair praise to be
he's an MVP, bro.
Yeah, but while he does get unfair praise, you also gotta realize that Chicago has a young chip there, and I will say that if LeBron would have chose Chicago, I do think they would have won the finals. That's what I said during the decision, and that's what I'll say always. He picked the wrong team, and I still think he picked the wrong team. Chicago was the place he had to go, in my opinion.
Yeah, but honestly,
you make a good point. You make a good point, but can we say that LeBron's not going to win titles in Miami? He will. I think he will eventually. But that being said, this year, current roster, coach, etc., yeah, Chicago was definitely the better fit. But it's obvious to me, too, I think in part Derrick Rose and LeBron James could have clashed a little bit at times, too, because Derrick Rose came in more than Wade?
Yeah. Did you think more
No. I didn't.
No.
I didn't say that. I just said I think they could have clashed at times. I don't know if it would have been a match made in heaven like we all thought it would, because Derrick Rose came out this year with the mentality of being the man, and I think he's got that in him, and that's all props to him. So this year Chicago would have been a better fit. Long term, we'll have to wait and see.
Well, let's not forget that Carlos Boozer played the entire season injured and had torn ligaments in his toe in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If he could stay freaking healthy, which is a huge question mark, especially when you take a look at his Utah Jazz days, he's going to be crucial. And then, of course, adding a true scoring threat at shooting guard position who can do something other than come off the bench and be inconsistent like Korver. You know, don't get me wrong, I like Bogan's defense. I like Brewer as defender, but you know, the main hole for the Bulls is obvious. And Carlos Boozer has to stay healthy. And you cannot rely on Kurt Thomas as a backup to Boozer and or Noah. So they're going to have to bring in a good serviceable backup to Boozer. They've got to. You can't keep rolling with that roster is currently constituted. There's two major changes that have to be made. Actually, I think the Bulls have way less issues to deal with than Miami.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
Agreed. 110%. And I got to ask you a question, Bruce. Do you think Taj Gibson is a more better all-around player than Carlos Boozer?
Defensively,
I
but not
think
offensively.
Defensively, he is better. But when healthy, no. But I would say this: his role is perfect for him, coming off the bench. That's the perfect role for him. He's not starter material. He's an all right backup, but